Hello everyone, welcome to Love Kubernetes channel. Today I'll explain you how you can deploy a web application to Kubernetes cluster using Jenkins pipeline and everything, all this platform are running on Google Cloud platform. So I'll give you some tips. I will explain you what I'll be doing in this demo. So I'll be doing live demo. Basically, I've already prepared all the files, and I'll tell you what is already required to have it on your system. So you need a Google Cloud account. If you are using something else, AWS, Azure, that's up to you. I'm using Google Cloud Platform. I have an account there, and I have created a Kubernetes cluster with 3 nodes running. Um, I have a separate Ubuntu 18.04 VM where I have installed Java, Jenkins, Maven, and Docker. So this I'll be using as a Jenkins host. So where I'll be building application and building Docker images and then publishing it to a Dockerhub. Uh, you also need a Dockerhub account um, just to have um, your image published to Dockerhub, and then you can pull it for deployment. You also need a Git repository. I believe all of you have. Um, just a couple of points before going further into details. So Jenkins pipeline will be running under Jenkins user, and that must have that must should be added to run Docker. So I've mentioned this command here. You can add this. If you're running Jenkins under this user, then use Jenkins. If you're running it under some other users, just replace this particular name with something else. And then Jenkins user will be able to run Docker commands through pipeline. All right. Um, then you need Docker Hub credential ID. So I'm using in my pipeline Docker Hub credential ID. So this is the ID which is set up as a credential in Jenkins. You also need the Kubernetes engine plugin installed in Jenkins. This is uh, so that you can set up a private key authentication using your one of the service account in Kubernetes cluster. So you can find it on Google. It's very easy to set up. So it's a service account. Um, you can edit the service account and then you can uh, create a private file in JSON format and import it to your local machine. And then in Jenkins, you can set up that as a credentials. Once you have this, you will see that option. You also need gcloud and kubectl. This one to deploy to Kubernetes cluster. You will see it later, but install it. The installation itself is very simple. You can do that from official page of Google Cloud. Then what? Then we have a web application, a small web application which you can already see here, which can be deployed to Tomcat. So I have a very small application where I have an index.html and a couple of other files which I'll be using to deploy. You need to push them to Git repository. You also need a Docker file to build the images for this particular app. And you need, of course, a Jenkins file for all the pipeline activities. So all the pipeline steps will be written inside this, and it will be under the root file, as you can see. You need also deployment.yaml file for Kubernetes deployment. This will cover uh, mainly the deployment and service activation. So let's get started. Okay, one last thing. You need pom.xml. You can have it. So if you are aware of Java application, then you can. It's not a big deal for you. I am using Java. So in the root we have pom.xml like this, and I have another um, module. So I'm using Kubernetes module. So you can see here it's a module here, and then I have another um, pom.x. All right, guys. So this is my Google Cloud Platform console. So I'm logged into my console using my account, and you can see I have my cluster here. So it's cluster. I'm not going to detail how you can create it. Actually, I've made another video where you can see how you can create that. So let's get started. I will show you that there is nothing running. So we have nothing exactly. Um, this is my Google Cloud Console, and here I have my Git repository where everything is as it is, as explained in the beginning. This is my Jenkins pipeline running, Jenkins page, homepage. So I'll just go to the details of this job. So this is a pipeline tab job, just to show you how it is. So you can put some description here. It is a GitHub hook, git scm polling. Uh, so how build will be triggered. So once you publish something to Git, it will automatically trigger. I'm not going to explain that in details. I have in pipeline steps mainly I've used pipeline script from SCM, and then I've selected Git, and then I put my Git repository here. Uh, I'm using by default it's from master, and then script path is Jenkins file is by default. In web application, I have just a simple page where I'll be displaying an image and some header and footer. That's not required to be explained. Now I will go back to Docker file. So what it does, it basically build this Tomcat image. Tomcat, it is pulling it from Dockerhub, so it is running for this version. You can also use that. I'm just using this directory. It is making a directory in this particular, when it creates a container, then copying this var file which is generated after the build from Marvin to this folder where it is running the Tomcat web apps application. This will create an image of our web application. Now the Jenkins file. So it looks like this. We have a pipeline and then different stages. So I have very simple steps, nothing fancy. So here you need a couple of environment variables. So what are the project ID from Google Cloud? I have this. What is the cluster name? You need to put also location, credentials, ID, Kubernetes. I'm using this Kubernetes ID, um, which I had set it up with my private key, as explained in the beginning. Then it does the checkout, it does the uh, cleaning and packaging, it just run the test. Um, Basically, I have nothing, so but it is just to explain how easy it is to build that. This step is building Docker images, so I'm using docker.build, and this is my Dockerhub username, and then this is the repository, and then as a tag I'm using the build build ID, so number of builds. So for example, if it is the 50th build, then it will be 50th. Then pushing the Docker image to Docker Hub. Here important is that you need to consider this your credentials, so how you set up. So I've my credential ID set up as Docker Hub, so I'm using Docker Hub. You need to set this up in Jenkins. I will show you very quickly. And then final step is deploying to Kubernetes. I'm just doing some command just to check where I am and if everything is going fine. This I'm using set command just to replace tag version um, tag version, I've used it in the deployment YAML file, which I'll be replacing with the build number. So just to pull the right image from the Docker Hub. So I'll just show you how my deployment YAML looks like. So this is a simple application. So there is nothing fancy. V1 and kind is deployment, metadata, my app. I'm using some label. I'm using one repsol. Here I'm using this container. So this, as I explained, this is my username and this is a repository, and this is a tag version variable which I'm replacing it directly into Jenkins file with the build number so that we can get the right image from the Docker Hub. Then I'm activating the service, exposing it to port 8080. All right, that's my Jenkins file and other files looks like. So what to next? Okay, I'll show you how I have set up the credentials because most of the time people are struggling with the credential setup. So if you go to Jenkins Home, you can click on credentials and you will see something like this. So as you see, my Docker Hub is created like this. So this is for Docker Hub credentials. This is for Kubernetes credentials. I'll quickly show you how you can create the uh, Google Cloud based authentication. So this one probably uh, just to show you because many people are struggling with that. So here you can use this option, Google Service Account from private key, and you can give that name. So I have given in this place Kubernetes, and you can give whatever you like, but you need to change that in Jenkins file. All right. I have my JSON key file downloaded, and I have selected it from my local file, and then choose that. Okay, so this is very easy to set up, and yeah, that's all. Um, Now I'm also using Blue Ocean, so uh, I will just show you Blue Ocean. So I'm using Blue Ocean plugin, but you can use the normal plugin. I'll just click on Run, and this should start all the steps. So so now SCM checkout logs very quickly. Yeah. So now Marvin clean package is running. You can see the logs, and now the test is running. You can see Docker image is being built. So you can see the command here, the logs basically. You can see this as created 47 as a tag, and this is exactly the build number. Okay, so now the Docker images has been pushed and it is also deploying now. Okay, so deployment has been finished. Yeah, I will show you I will show you what all happened. So first thing, we need to confirm whether Docker images has been created correctly or not. So this is my Jenkins VM also on Google Cloud. I will just show you um, what are the images created now. So sudo docker image ls. So you can see this has been created as a 47 tag, and yeah, it was just created 55 seconds ago. I can also check my Docker Hub. So very quickly, hope I'm logged in. Yes, so this is my Docker Hub and created a minute ago. So this one is available here. Console log. You see, it did the checkout. It did um, packaging. So all the builds were successful. Then started testing. Then it started Docker build. So this is basically the command it is using under the hood. Um, Docker build -t and then the image with the tag. And then it started the steps for building. Here you can see step 1 out of 3, second and third. The war file is this one. War file was basically created in the build steps. So this is the war file created. Okay, and then it did the login using the credential I provided, and then it pushed the Docker image to Dockerhub. Now the final step is the deployment. So these were the logs I used. So it has this files, then present working directories, and then it is running the steps. So basically replacing this one with this one, um, and it is then deploying here. Good. So pipeline, we can see it has succeeded. Now we need to check whether it has created all the necessary ports and services. So you see here there is nothing basically, and then we'll run the same command, and now you see we have something here. One pod is running and one service is running, and then this is exposed. This service is exposed on this this particular IP, external IP. So we can try to run that over port 80. So we have this application running, and to run our image, whatever we deployed. So this confirms that our Tomcat is up and running, and this is our image name. So that's all. So you can see here how easy it is to deploy to Kubernetes using Jenkins pipeline. So this is my page I intended to see, uh, and you can see it's up and running on Kubernetes. Okay, guys. So now it's time to test. So the deployment itself works. Now, how do we know that any changes on anything will be reflected in the next deployment? So to prove that, what I will do is I will just simply remove this test and save this file, and I will just check if there are other changes. So I see only this change is there. I'll just do this change, git add, and then git commit. I'll say test removed from index.html, and then post it to Git repository. All right, so it's done. Now let's confirm this. So here, this is my index.html. Okay, so this seems to be removed, so that's perfect. What I will do is I will we can then rerun the Jenkins. We can just trigger another build. So meanwhile I had triggered another build. So it is 49. You can see the console here now. It also shows correct. All right, so building, publishing the Docker image. Now it is in the final stage, so it is success. Very good. Now we can quickly check, quickly verify in this what's going on. So all right, so you can see here this is being terminated. One pod is being terminated and the second pod is running. So it should be ideally already running. So yes, it's running, and this port is same. So service we can access here. if once we refresh, this test should be removed. All right, so indeed it gets removed. So the continuous deployment is now tested properly. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe, like, and share as much as possible. This will force me to upload some more videos around this. Thanks, guys.